students. In today's video, we will discuss pharmacology of osmotic diuretics. Now, before starting discussing osmotic diuretics, let's quickly revise function of kidneys and role of diuretics. Now, look at this diagram. This diagram shows a structure of nephron, and these are the peritubular capillaries, and these peritubular capillaries are also termed as vasa recta. Now, the most important function of kidneys is to filter and purify blood and remove waste toxic products of the body in the form of urine. Now, structural and functional unit of kidney is the nephron. Now, each kidney consists of around 1 million nephrons, and the main function of kidney is to produce urine. Now, there are three main steps in the formation of urine, namely the glomerular filtration, then selective reabsorption and secretion. Now, blood in the glomerulus is filtered and the filtrate passes into the tubule of nephron. Now, around 180 liters of filtrate is produced daily by both the kidneys. Now, this filtrate consists of more than 90% water, then waste toxic products like urea, uric acid, creatinine, along with the useful substances like glucose, amino acids, vitamins, electrolytes like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, etc. Now, all these essential substances that are required along with the water is reabsorbed. It is reabsorbed from the lumen into the luminal epithelial cells, and from the luminal epithelial cells all the required substances they move to the peritubular capillaries or vasa recta, and thus all these required substances they reach the blood circulation. Now, thus around 99% of the filtrate is returned to the blood circulation, and this reabsorption of filtrate maintains the blood volume and the pH of blood. Now, reabsorption of water primarily depends on the reabsorption of sodium. Now, water is reabsorbed isoosmotically. That is, for every molecule of sodium that is reabsorbed is accompanied by reabsorption of molecule of water. And thus, when the sodium is reabsorbed, the water follows. That means water follows higher sodium concentration. Now, very important to remember that out of 180 liter of filtrate, only 1 to 1.5 liter of urine is produced. That means rest of the filtrate, that is 99% of the filtrate is reabsorbed in this renal tubule. At different sites like the proximal convoluted tubule, here 65 to 70% of sodium and water is reabsorbed. Then this is the descending loop of Henle, here 15% of water is reabsorbed. This is the ascending limb of loop of Henle, here around 25% of sodium is reabsorbed. Now, this is the early distal tubule, here around 5% of sodium and 8% of the water content of the filtrate is reabsorbed. Now, this is the late distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct. Here around 3% of sodium is absorbed, and apart from this water is also absorbed. Now, absorption of water is tightly regulated by antidiuretic hormone in the collecting duct, whereas reabsorption of sodium is regulated by the aldosterone. So, this is how at different sites water and sodium is reabsorbed from the renal tubule into the luminal epithelial cells, and from the luminal epithelial cells sodium along with the water moves into the peritubular capillaries or vasa recta, and from here sodium as well as water they reach the blood circulation, and this is how the blood volume and the pH of blood is maintained. Now, diuretics are the agents that act upon kidney and they increase the volume of urine, thereby reducing the volume of blood. Now, what diuretics do is this, that diuretics decrease the reabsorption of sodium as well as the reabsorption of water from the lumen into the peritubular capillaries. Thus, diuretics are the agents that cause net loss of sodium and water in the urine. Now, since these diuretics, they increase the volume of urine, they reduce the volume of blood, they are primarily useful in the management of edema and hypertension. So, diuretics are the agents that act on kidneys and cause a net loss of sodium and water in urine. Osmotic diuretics primarily increase volume of urine. These are pharmacologically inert substances that are filtered freely at the glomerulus. And when given in large quantities, these substances, they increase osmolarity, and that is they increase the solute concentration of plasma as well as the tubular fluid, and therefore water is drawn isoosmotically in the tubular lumen. Examples of these diuretics are the mannitol. Mannitol is a prototype drug, then isosorbide glycerol. Major site of actions are proximal convoluted tubule and descending limb of loop of Henle. These sites are freely permeable to water. So, mannitol is a non-electrolyte of low molecular weight. It is freely filtered at glomerulus and it is not reabsorbed in the tubular lumen cells. It is not reabsorbed in the epithelial cells of the tubular lumen. And mannitol here retains water isoosmotically in the proximal convoluted tubule and descending limb of loop of Henle, and this dilutes the fluid in the tubule of the nephron, and sodium is also not reabsorbed from the tubular lumen. Thus, mannitol appears to inhibit tubular water and passive salt and electrolyte reabsorption, and thus it increases loss of water and sodium in urine, and this produces the diuretic effect. Now, since mannitol is not absorbed in the cells, it also expands the extracellular fluid volume and increases the glomerular filtration rate. It increases the renal blood flow. And since it isoosmotically draws water in the tubular lumen, it primarily increases the urine volume. And the excretion of all cations like sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and anions like chloride, bicarbonate ion, phosphate ions is also increased. Now, talking about the administration, mannitol is not absorbed orally and it is therefore given IV as a 10 to 20% solution, and its half-life is half to 1.5 hours. Now, uses: mannitol is indicated in reducing intracranial pressure. Now, by the osmotic action, it induces movement of water from the brain parenchyma, and therefore it is useful during brain surgery. It is useful in reducing increased intraocular pressure in glaucoma. It is also useful in oliguria, that is when abnormally small amounts of urine is produced by the kidneys, and also in impending acute renal failure. However, mannitol is contraindicated in anuria, that is when kidney stops producing urine. Now, apart from this, earlier osmotic diuretics were used to flush out harmful substances that build up in the kidneys, for example due to drug overuse or due to the drug toxicity. However, this use of osmotic diuretics is not recommended now. Now, major side effects of osmotic diuretics is hypovolemia, then electrolyte imbalance. Common side effect is the headache, and other side effects are the nausea and vomiting. Hypersensitivity reactions are rare. Now, these are contraindicated in acute tubular necrosis, anuria, acute left ventricular failure, congestive heart failure, cerebral hemorrhage. So, this is in brief on pharmacology of osmotic diuretics. Please note that the information provided in this video is meant exclusively for the students from their examination point of view. So, kindly consult your physician for the clinical use of osmotic diuretics. If you find the video useful, kindly like, subscribe and share this video. Thanks for watching this video.